It's time for the Ant Hill Show. What's up, Jay Hill? How's it going?
It's going pretty good. I'm pretty happy.
You've been enjoying
Good Christmas.
enjoying Christmas, enjoying life.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
That's important, man.
Always helps.
You gotta enjoy life.
'Cause you never know when it could end.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that's a true statement.
It's a little dark, but it's true though.
It's very dark and ominous.
Well, just like Franco Harris, R.I.P. Man.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah.
I heard him on the radio with Chris Mad Dog Russo on Tuesday. He was dead by Wednesday morning. Like,
yeah, big loss for the NFL in general, and the 50-year anniversary of the Immaculate Reception.
how was his jersey not retired?
I don't know. That was a surprise.
That was
to me when I
weird,
heard
wasn't that? Just weird to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those ones that I do believe what they need to start doing instead of actually retiring jerseys is just putting them in make them in a ring of honor.
Yeah,
because you're going to lose the number of jerseys here pretty soon.
Especially with a historic franchise like Pittsburgh. That's had so many good players over the years too.
Pittsburgh, Dallas, San Francisco, the Patriots here pretty soon probably. You're going to lose a lot of numbers.
The Packers are in that conversation.
Oh, yeah,
too.
for sure, Packers. So good call on that. So, Jason, the 49ers played the Washington Commanders on Saturday, Christmas Eve, and boy, what a Christmas gift did the 49ers give the faithful, a 37, thank you, to 20 victory. Fantastic performance overall, a second half offensive explosion, but not excited about that. Okay, well, let's get into this. What did you think about this Commanders game? I can already feel the negative. It's like you got a haircut and negativity came.
It's not negative. No, it's not. It's not negative. So me and Horsty were sitting there watching the game, right? And it's odd to say when you beat a team by 17 points, but they left a lot out there, though. I mean, they could have. That was a game that they should have had between 45 and 50 with the number of short field goals that Robbie kicked. Now, did we necessarily need to be aggressive at that point? No, but with Purdy still trying to get him as many reps as possible. I wish that Kyle would have set his foot on the gas a little more, shall we say?
Wow.
But no,
so I guess fourth down conversions by Kyle Shanahan, going for it on fourth down in the first drive, those aren't aggressive enough for you.
No, but
what do you want from him, Jason?
More touchdowns.
Oh, so it's Kyle's fault.
No, I didn't say it's Kyle, but
he seemed aggressive to me.
You know my thing. I hate field goals. The only time I like a field goal is if it ends the game and you make it. Other than that, I'm not a big fan of them.
Well, I think you've seen right. Kyle, fourth and short, he went for it.
Right.
Fourth and long, he didn't. Why? I don't understand why you would be upset or say he wasn't aggressive enough.
I'm upset that they didn't convert those short fields into.
But you blamed Kyle's aggressiveness on those.
Well, there was one in particular. They were inside the 10. It was like 4th and 6, and so they had a chance to get a first down or get the touchdown. And I just would have rather them just drive the nail right through the heart.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go there with you. I can't.
That's fine.
And as a person that enjoys analytics and numbers as much as you, there's no way anyone would have said go for it in that situation. Kyle Shanahan made the right move. You kick the field goal,
but when you're up 13 and that field goal still puts you in a 2-score window. So I'd rather them go for the touchdown and go and get that go by 3 scores.
Right. He kicks a field goal. They go up 16. That means not only do you have to score 2 touchdowns, but you have to score 2-point conversions.
I know.
There's a guy named Nicholas Bosa. He does not allow 2-point conversions in his house.
He doesn't allow anything.
He destroyed your boy
house.
Carson Wentz with a huge sack. How dare you try to block him with Logan Thomas? Get out of here with that crap.
That was outrageous.
Yeah, that's dumb. Is what it is.
We do need to give the Commanders some credit though.
No, we don't.
Because
why do we need to give them credit? I'm just kidding.
They ran for over 70 yards, which hadn't happened.
Oh no, 79 yards.
Yeah, which the bummer was. Coming into the day, we were tied with the 2000 Baltimore Ravens for consecutive games under 70. So that would have been an all-time NFL record. Now, that being said, it took them like 8,000 carries to get those 79 yards, but at least they got there. And hey, they actually scored 20 points. Only the third time this year that we've allowed
If you want to give him the 20 points, you give him the 20 points. Dre Greenlaw had an interception taken away from him that would have prevented the 20 points.
That call should have been challenged.
And it would have been a number one play. Like, that would have been over all the highlights.
That
was crazy. Jahan Dotson, it goes underneath him all the way out, bounces off his elbow.
I was surprised Kyle didn't actually challenge that.
Well, I believe they told him he couldn't challenge an incomplete
because
pass.
It was incomplete. Oh,
because he's the defensive coach.
Yeah.
Or on the defensive side of the ball at the time. It's interesting overall. But I thought the 49ers, I think you could easily say the defense wasn't as sharp as it has been, the couple weeks before.
Too many third and longs they gave up.
They did give up a lot in the first half. Yeah. You're right. I thought, though, overall, when they need to make plays, they made plays. Jimmy Ward comes up with another
nice pick.
Yeah, so it was.
It's tough though because the bar for that defense is so damn high.
Yeah,
because they've earned that right to be that high, which is good in itself. That they gave up 20 points and they allowed 4th, 3rd, and 10 plus, and we're whining.
You're whining.
Okay, well,
let's keep it clear. I'm not whining.
It's a good problem to have.
You're whining.
They are so good that, and we still scored 37 points, and I'm like, could have been a lot more. Once again, good problem to have.
Well, I think what you're saying, your sentiments are correct, right? Fred Warner said, hey, you're not going to be mad about a win, but right, there's some things out there.
It felt, for being a 17-point win, it didn't feel like that was a nice win. It was like, oh, I missed a play here, and it's not necessarily about the Commanders. It's about looking forward to bigger games next month and hopefully the month after, where against certain teams you can't you get that chance. You have to get that 7 and not get the 3.
Yeah, I think you're looking at it that way, but you're also playing. You just talked about how historic and great this defense is. That's part of the reason you can get threes and take advantage of that, because you have that defense. But let's not forget, they scored 30 points in the second half.
Yeah.
And you're saying
it could have easily been 40.
It could have,
plus,
but it's still 30 points on a pretty good Commanders defense.
Top 5 defense.
Yeah, right. I mean, so let's remember that in the whole case.
There's a lot of good things, but it still just was kind of like oh yeah.
I think the first half had people feeling, oh yeah, but that second half was pretty fun to watch. Let's talk about Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy had some pretty good stats in this football game. I mean, he was getting it done at a pretty high rate. I was overall pretty happy with Brock Purdy's game. 15 of 22, almost 70% at 68. He's been pretty consistent around there.
65 plus every game.
And 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then Jawan Jennings with an interception.
That was the most, that was one where literally we're sitting there watching the game, and we're kind of talking, and we're like, oh, good. Now, the throw was at his hip. So it wasn't perfect, but that's a throw that an NFL receiver has to catch 9 times out of 10.
With that much space, too.
Yeah, if he catches that, he gets 10, 12 more yards at least. And then to swat it up in the air like that was just, that's one of those we talked about before. They need to change the stat to where an interception on a quarterback is one thing, and an interception on a receiver shouldn't, because that was totally not Brock's fault.
Yeah. I'm with you. I mean, Brock Purdy put the ball, in a pretty good spot. The hip is not the greatest. You want it a little bit out in front, but in the grand scheme of things, NFL receivers are expected to make that catch.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a catchable football. It's not in traffic. And, you're right. It's unfortunate. It gets tipped up in the air. And it ends up being an interception. And that is actually what causes Washington their first touchdown, because that was one of those situations that Kyle loves. Because they're getting the ball coming out of
and the second half.
Even a field goal would have put it 10-0 at half.
Yep.
It's huge, and he loves those 2-for-1 situations.
And get the ball back, too.
And it didn't work out, you got to give Commanders credit. They took care of business on offense, made a play. But what I loved about the way Kyle Shanahan went about it in the second half is here came Brock Purdy, and he went boom, boom, pass. He opened it up. He was getting the ball around, and then they ended up getting the deep shot to George Kittle that he steals the pass from Ray McCloud. The interception over Ray McCloud. And I just thought, though, that, it was an exciting way for them to come out and take advantage. And really, it's not an easy team to throw on because of how good their front is. They had Chase Young back, but you're still able to do it. And I thought that was a really good part of this 49ers win, was the way the offense came out in the first or second half, the first 2 drives, and just touchdown.
Yep. No, it was he like I said, he plays the position, not like he doesn't have any wow plays, but he doesn't do anything stupid. But go either. And he takes what the defense will give him. And if you blow a coverage, he will capitalize on that.
Did you just say he doesn't have any wow plays?
Well, if we're like wow plays, I mean like something where like you see from Josh Allen or Mahomes that like leads Sports Center off. Like, look what Josh Allen did today, folks. He hurdled 9 guys.
Yeah, I mean, because there were some wow plays where he avoided people inside the pocket and got rid of the football that would have been dead to right sacks for almost. I mean, the top.
If they were Jimmy, they would have been.
Yeah, even a lot of other quarterbacks. I mean, there's probably like 10% of the quarterbacks that could have avoided that in the entire league. I mean, those plays are wow plays. Because even incompletions or throwaways, live to fight another day, are so important for this football team because they can get that yardage. Penalties kill them on drives, but they can overcome those things. I think Brock Purdy has a lot of wild plays. This is kind of like your Fred Warner thing earlier. He's not making any splash plays.
No.
Yes, it is.
I love Brock, but he's for this team. He's perfect. Right, like we don't need him to be.
I feel like that's a slight.
No, we don't need him to be the end all be all. We have enough talent. And our offensive scheme is good enough.
I agree. The offensive scheme is great. I think the one thing that I'm noticing is the wide open receivers are getting hit this time. Brock Purdy's doing a pretty good job at that. I love his stat lines. If we can get that consistently from him, nearly 70% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, 230 to 250 per game. And if you can limit the turnovers too, you have this one from Jawan, but if you can do that, I think that's very winnable football for this team all throughout the regular season playoffs and potentially a Super Bowl run.
I mean, realistically, 2 of his interceptions to me, I don't count.
The other one against Miami,
the one where it was on fourth down, and they just kind of threw it up there and gave Ayuk a chance and. David Howard made the play. But
I think if he had to do it over again, he would have thrown a back shoulder.
Yeah.
Or he would have put a little bit more air under it so Ayuk could have went and got it. But you're right. I don't blame that one either. That was like a punt. It put him inside the 20.
If he was smart, he would just knock it down.
Yeah, as David Howard, that's what he should have done. He should have just knocked the football down. That's situational football.
Yep.
But you're right. Brock Purdy's done a very good job of managing, and people like to talk about, near interceptions or almost interceptions. Diggs, of course, almost had the near interception. And then they had one, too, where one of the defenders dropped off. I forget which defensive lineman it was. Dropped off, and he almost had the pick. And it got called back. And, those are true. But I think that he's learned from those mistakes and gotten better and better every week. I love it. And one thing I really like is how George Kittle's playing. We talked about Kittle last week, but then Kittle came out and had another 2-touchdown performance, 120 yards. He's really exploding right now. And, it was one of those plays was a real simple, it was a boot. Brock Purdy, ran up, made a nice throw, and then George Kittle made it happen with a little help from Juwan Jennings blocking.
So as soon as that touchdown happened, I look at Horsey and I said, I now forgive Jawan for that pick because if he doesn't put that block on him, I don't know if he scores. Like that literally gave him the touchdown. So I was like, okay, you cost us one, but you gave us that one back. As far as Kittle's going, what do we say when Debo got hurt? Somebody's got to step up and be the next guy behind McCaffrey. We didn't know if it was going to be Ayuk. He's playing pretty well. I'd like to see a little more from him, but it's been Kittle. Like, Kittle's on a mission to just dominate the game in every way now, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, Kittle is exploding onto the scene. I mean, he's having himself a really, really good season. And, it was just a little bit of time ago that they were talking about the fact that, George Kittle was maybe struggling a little bit and maybe he had fallen off.
Lost a step.
Yeah, and, now he's got it going and everyone's talking about how he's, the best tight end in football and, all that stuff again. And which, I mean, he's playing at a high level. And he's got 46 catches this season for 593 yards and 6 touchdowns. I think that needs to be updated because I believe he has 8 touchdowns now. So they haven't updated the stats from the game where he had 120 yards. So you add that on top. So
it's
over 700, 8
yards.
Touchdowns, which matches his career high for a season. And then also the catches on top of that. So he has over 50 catches. George Kittle's playing at a high rate. And then also Brandon Ayuk is playing at a high rate. Ayuk consistently has 5 catches for over 80 yards, and he just plays really well. And in this game, he had that one big play that was
so
54.
Nice.
Woo, he almost broke for a touchdown. That was spectacular. And Ayuk now 114 yards away from his first 1,000-yard season.
Yep.
I think that this offense is just rolling. And, you were talking to me earlier about the fact that Debo's inching closer and that he's getting healthier and healthier. It looks like they're going to start practicing him here pretty soon, getting him reacclimated to this offense. They've scored 30 points 3 times with Brock Purdy at the helm without Debo Samuel.
Yep.
It's pretty impressive. And let's talk about this 49ers offense overall. How good is the 49ers offense? Because there has been, talks about the defense all year long, how great they are. But where does this 49ers offense sit? Is this the best the 49ers offense has been in recent memory?
So with Brock Purdy as our quarterback, this is the most dynamic, explosive offense that we've seen since Kaepernick first got on the scene and they ran those read options.
In 2012?
Yep.
I think that it's looked pretty good. I think that
you said pretty good.
pretty good.
That was nice right there.
I think with what they're doing on offense, you got Christian McCaffrey. Since he's gotten there, he's made a huge impact on this 49ers team. Right away, you see the instant impact with what Jimmy Garoppolo did.
Yep.
He now had a safety, net that he could get to. George Kittle was allowed to kind of get healthy and then, reacclimate to this offense. And I thought that they were starting to figure out how to use McCaffrey and Debo together. And it was really exciting. And then when Purdy got on the scene, it felt like some things that were kind of off the table as far as throwing, like the outside the numbers, deep passes, things like that, now we're open. And I think that a lot of it had to go with what he does in the pocket with Brock Purdy, the escapability, also Kyle Shanahan being able to move the pocket, open some things up. Because when you look at this Commanders game, the 49ers didn't run the football very well.
Really
71 yards of their rushing attack was Ryder McLeod on the big touchdown. The rest, McCaffrey just over 3 yards per carry, TDP just over 3 yards per carry. But the 49ers offense put up 37 points. And the reason is because now they're not one-dimensional. It doesn't take a run game for their pass game to be able to be, executing at a high level. Now they could do it either side. Oh, run game's not getting it done today because they're stacking the box. Well, now you have to deal with our explosive passing game. Oh, you want to sit everyone back, drop 8 and, not have 7 or 8 guys in the box? That's great. Now we're going to run the football all over you.
Yep.
The 49ers now are very balanced on offense, and we know Kyle Shanahan always wants to be balanced.
Yes. It's what Kyle would try and do with Jimmy is, they're stacking the box. Let's try and use the passing game to loosen them up. Sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. So far, it hasn't been stopped. And that's a big credit to Brock.
It is. I think Brock Purdy's done a really good job. Before we move on to the next topic, I wanted to ask you, because, Jimmy Garoppolo has the cast off. The reports are that sometime this week he's going to get his boot off, and then they're going to start, working him out and seeing where he can get. What are your thoughts if Jimmy Garoppolo comes in the playoffs, and likelihood it would be what, divisional round?
At best.
At best. Let's say divisional round, he's able to go. But Brock Purdy played well in the wild card. Are you sticking with Brock Purdy and having Jimmy Garoppolo be your backup quarterback?
Put me on the spot now, I see, huh?
That's how we roll on the Angel Show. A tough question.
Wow. I've had too many memories of us winning playoff games almost in spite of Jimmy, even though he looked to be a different quarterback so far this year. So I don't know whether that plays, but, the Packer game last year, won that game because of special teams play. He had one good drive late to get us into field goal range. The Ram game, fourth quarter, he flat out melted down. Now, there was a few other guys who helped that too, but he himself melted down. This is the Super Bowl, fourth quarter, melted down. The NFC Championship game a couple years ago, he threw the ball 6 times.
Well, that's all he had to do. That run game was absolutely dominant.
But
if it let's take that game in particular. Take out the name Jimmy Garoppolo and put Joe Montana. Does anyone bat an eye?
Joe's
Take out the name and put Steve Young in his first playoff appearance.
If it was his first playoff game, I think people would be a little surprised if he only threw 6 passes.
I mean, if you can run the football, why do anything else?
I mean, yes, but still, that first touchdown was a 3rd and 7, where it looked like they were just trying to maintain field goal range, and it just happened that it was
no.
blocked really well, and most of it's really fast.
No, it was a really great call by Kyle Shanahan. He had 2 plays in the huddle, and Jimmy Garoppolo gets him to the correct play, which is the give to Raheem Mostert, because Green Bay's playing against the pass. So it's open. Mostert has the ability to run really fast, and there was a nice hole. That is just good offense executed at a high level. I just think quarterbacks don't get enough credit for what they do in the run game, and that's all quarterbacks, because they have to get their offense in the right play depending on look the defense is giving them. And Jimmy does it at a pretty good level, and Brock Purdy's been doing it pretty well too.
Okay, so I'm riding with Brock. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm riding with Brock as long as he's being consistent. The way he's playing right now, he's the hot hand. There's no reason to upset, what's going on in the chemistry, everything that's being built. I would bring Jimmy Garoppolo back because I believe he's a better backup quarterback than Josh Johnson.
Yeah.
And I think you roll with Purdy. Much. Now, if Purdy, gets into the playoffs and he starts struggling and you're winning in spite of Brock Purdy, then you can turn to a veteran Jimmy Garoppolo. The locker room will support him. It would be fine. But you want to make sure you have the best possible quarterback situation you can. And I believe as of right now, that's Purdy 1, Jimmy Garoppolo 2. But we don't know how Brock is going to respond in the playoffs. I think he's going to do well because nothing has shook him so far. Yeah. So, I mean, that's where I would roll with it, too. I'm one of those guys, I wouldn't care if it was Brock Purdy or if Jimmy was the guy that had gotten hot. I'm rolling with the hot hand because we've seen this through the years. Backup quarterbacks can get hot and run through. Jeff Hostetler, Nick Foles. There you go. Some good examples of quarterbacks. Roethlisberger took all the way to the AFC Championship game one year. Sean King, NFC Championship game playing for those teams. So it does work out.
A bad call away from actually beating Rams that game.
Yeah, let's talk about Nick Bosa because Bosa now has 17.5 sacks. He's tearing it up. He's being absolutely spectacular. He's got all eyes on Aldon Smith's 19.5 sacks. And if he gets it, it will be legitimate 16 games because he missed a game and a half.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts on Nick Bosa, where he's at? I think he's going to be Defensive Player of the Year. What do you think about how Bosa's playing right now?
What I love is the national narrative has switched. Right? Like, since about week 5, we have been saying that give him the award.
Yeah.
Like, I don't give a damn what Micah does. Give the 97 the award. Well, now you're seeing Tony Romo hang it. You're seeing the guys on ESPN, all their 10,000 NFL shows, saying, "Oh yeah, it looks like Nick Bosa's got a stranglehold on DPOY." So it's deserved. It should be, and it will make up a little bit for him not being an All-Pro last year, which was criminal too.
Yeah. I mean, he's part of what's happening for Nick Bosa is he continues to perform at the highest level, which is a reason why everyone pays attention, but also his team. He's a part of an elite defense and a team that's on an 8-game winning streak. That finally is enough to get everyone's attention. The best player on the best team. Wow. Yeah, he's pretty darn good, right?
Yeah.
And so I think
just in.
Yeah, I love what Nick Bosa is doing for this team. He's making it difficult for offenses in a variety of ways. And since Eric Armstead's gotten back, I feel like Bosa's gotten more one-on-one situations. It's been really, really nice to watch. And now Javon Kinlaw came back to help on the interior run defense.
Here's a Bosa question.
Okay.
For you. Steve Keim, when he's not in rehab, or on his medical leave, do you think he's going, probably should have taken 97 instead of Kyler?
I think that, yes, in retrospect, you would rather have Nick Bosa, but I think at the moment, they were going all in on offense. I mean, they hired Cliff Kingsbury. Kingsbury's guy is, Kyler Murray. To me, that was the move they had to go with. If he would have stuck with the coach he had already, they would have drafted Nick Bosa with the first overall pick. But Wilkes was gone, and they were going with Kingsbury, rocking with it, and it didn't work out for them. But you know what? unfortunate for them, and great rewards for the 49ers getting Bosa, and it's been huge ever since. Who do you think the 49ers would have taken if Bosa would have went one?
I don't know.
I think they would have taken Josh Allen, that ends up going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, the edge rusher out of Kentucky. Big and long.
He's pretty good.
Yeah,
too.
he's pretty good. He reminds you a lot of Aldon Smith's length and stuff. He's Aldon's spectacular, so he's not Aldon Smith. Don't get me wrong, but I thought that was kind of an area they could have went.
It wouldn't have shocked me if they had traded back a little too.
Yeah, that they could have easily have
been like,
back.
that's our guy. Let's go back a few picks. I'm sure somebody's gonna want to come up and get Kyler. So
yeah, so a big move ends up working out for the 49ers. And the 49ers defensive line, we just mentioned Eric Armstead, but Javon Kinlaw comes back. It seems like this defensive line, even when they're missing pieces like Kevin Givens, Hassan Ridgeway, no matter what, they're still playing at the highest of levels. What do you think about this 49ers defensive line with the play of Jordan Willis, the play of T.Y. McGill, and these guys? Do you think that that Chris Kasarik just has such a rhythm going that it's plug and play with some of these high end players, and they're just getting even better?
Yeah, no, it seems like that's actually the case, which is like surprising this late in the season that guys are continuing to improve. But I don't know what he gives them in the lunchroom. I don't know what he gives them in their cups for meeting time, but whatever it is, keep it coming, and maybe give it to Mike McGlinchey too. Maybe.
McGlinchey hasn't played that bad.
Drive by. I got my. Hey! I'm just glad he went through the whole game and didn't get called for a holding call. That was exciting.
He actually had 2 pivotal offside penalties in this game.
Those didn't help, but yeah. But
the false starts were huge. But when it comes to this defensive line, I think they're figuring out roles to what they're going to do with Javon Kinlaw. I'm going to expect him to be ramped up to about 20 to 25 plays, this week and against Vegas. And I think that when you look at the defensive line and how that rotation goes, Kinlaw's going to come off for obvious pass downs. Yeah. They're going to roll with Charles Omenihu. They're going to, roll with Jordan Willis and those guys. And then Kerry Hyder, once he's back from injury, he'll kind of go back into that rotation as they get guys that can play on the interior. And when they get Omenihu out there and filling that, former Arden key role with the guys they already have with Ebukam and Bosa and Armstead, that's freaking rough for these pass offenses. And I think they're gonna keep doing damage, and I think Kinlaw's gonna help them stop the run, which they're gonna need against the Raiders coming up here pretty soon.
Gosh, Jacobs the top 2 or 3 in yards for running backs. So yeah,
he's playing pretty good. So let's talk about the defensive concerns. Do you have any defensive concerns after the way the Washington Commanders were able to get some yards? They scored 3 touchdowns against the 49ers, which, I mean, a lot of people were shook off of that. What do you think about the, Deommodore Lenoir and that secondary? Does that concern you any the way that Washington was able to, have a lot of success throwing the football?
So we've seen a couple times every game where there's just confusion on the back end. You see Hufanga kind of like looking at someone like, I thought you had him. I thought, was I supposed to have him? So on some level, that's concerning. It's a little concerning, the 3rd and 13, 3rd and 14, 3rd and 15s that they've given up, especially last week. So there's something there. And once again, it's not a concern because it happened on Saturday. It's a concern because if we get to the Super Bowl, we'll play Cincinnati or Kansas City or the Bills, who have elite quarterbacks with elite offensive talent. So it's something that I want them to iron out. And the late touchdown in Seattle where Noah Fant just ran by literally uncovered. Like that kind of stuff can't happen. Like we this defense is so good that we need to make sure that we don't have those mental lapses, because I believe that if we actually have to make a team earn a touchdown, good luck.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen them get fourth down stops, pretty consistently goal line stops. This defense never gives up. It's tough to get touchdowns against the 49ers, and Washington football team got 3, and that's pretty impressive. I think that the last one to Curtis Samuel the least impressive out of all of them. Dotson got free on the back part of the the end zone. I think there was a confusion there.
Yep.
A lot of people automatically wanted to put that on Lenore, but I saw a little bit of some squatting going on there. On a shorter route, and not carrying that guy deeper, which I would have loved to have seen. So I think there is some confusion there. I think they did make a concerted effort to go with a more max protect look and then try to get the ball vertically down the field or to take advantage of Diamond Lenore. But overall, I didn't think that it was anything that made me worried about this 49ers defense or anything they couldn't figure out. It just was like, oh, here's a new way that a team's going to try to attack this defense. Now D'Amico Ryans, and then we're going to go figure out how to overcome it.
I mean, yes, but at the same time, if we saw Buffalo with McKenzie and Diggs and that receiving core, that could be an issue. And obviously, if we saw the Bengals with Jamar and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, those are better threesomes than the Redskins, and a much, 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 much better guy getting the ball to those guys too. Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I would argue
that's the concern.
I would argue the Commanders' offensive line is as good or better than both of those teams you just mentioned, though.
I'd say it's definitely better than the Bills' O-line. That Bengal O-line is playing really well after the first couple weeks of this season. It's been on a tear.
They've given up 40 sacks this year.
But literally 24 of those were in the first 4 games.
Yeah, but do they go against Bosa and Armstead and Ebukam?
I mean, they haven't yet, but
they might never. And the thing is
I actually think that as right now, if you ask me who's in the Super Bowl, I'd say it's us and Cincinnati for round 3.
I think you might be right. I think it could have happened last year.
It should have happened last year.
I think if Jimmy wouldn't have hurt his shoulder, it probably would have happened.
Yeah.
But I think that, we're going to get into the playoffs here in a minute, but I do think that the 49ers are okay. Even in a bad defensive performance, they gave up 20.
Exactly. That's the bar, though. It's they're so good that, oh my God, they gave up 20 points.
I think anything over 17, you feel like it was a bad game.
Yeah.
And that's what this defense has done, because we never would have thought that in previous years. And I would say this is kind of the way I used to think in the 2011 season with Harbaugh. It was we're going to run the football. We're going to have a 100-yard rusher. You're not going to get over 100 yards, and you're not going to come close to scoring 20 points, and that's how we're going to win.
Yeah.
And in that 2011 team, you're going to turn the ball over, and that's how I'm kind of feeling about this one. Turnovers happen.
Yep.
You're not running the football, and you're not getting close to 100 yards, and we're going to run the football and hit you with play action passes and win. And it just feels like it's a recipe for success, and it's a tried and true method to do.
This team feels overall better, though.
I agree. It does. The only thing
1
is
through 53. I think this is a better roster than even Harbaugh.
It could be, but remember the time. You don't know how those feelings felt at that moment, right? You can't feel those same things. If you could feel the same moment back-to-back days from what you felt in 2011 till now, real experience, I wonder if you would still feel that way with Justin Smith and Alden Smith and Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman. Dante Whitner and Golson knocking people out.
Was physical, but they weren't as good. There was not a Jimmy Ward or a Tavarius Ward that would just cover the hell out of you too.
Yeah, I agree that I worry somewhat about the secondary a little bit for those rosters. So let's flip it, Jason. We got a game coming up this week.
Vegas.
It's on New Year's Day against the Las Vegas Raiders. It's going to hold.
I really wish
it's going to hold a lot of importance, for Bay Area fans. The 49ers are going to want to win. The Raiders, Raider fans are going to want to win this.
The Raiders will win. No, sorry.
Yeah. So you're going to have and we talked about it a little bit, interesting matchup where you got Josh Jacobs, who's having a very, very good season. He's rushed for he's getting close to 1,500 yards. He has
contract year too.
11 touchdowns. Yes, they didn't get his 5th-year option. That's going to end up being a huge blunder.
Whoops.
But after that, they have Devontae Adams, and they have Waller, and then they have who?
Hunter Renfrow too.
Is he scaring you? Is he going to be that you? We can't cover him with Jimmy Ward and
he's not scary. But he's a good player though. He's a good, solid guy that you can. He's kind of our Jawan Jennings. You don't go in and say, "Oh my God, we got to stop Hunter Renfrow." But on 3rd and 8, where's Carr going? On 3rd and 8, where's Where are you going? It's called 3rd and Jawan for a reason. So, and once again, I doubt he'll ever be a Pro Bowl guy, but he's a guy who can contribute to an actual winning team, though, too.
Yeah, I think the reason I bring it up is here we are talking about the Raiders. And I bring it up because if you look at what the 49ers are going to have to plan for, on the defensive side of the football, Derek Carr's been turning the ball over, but they're not turning to Jarrett Stidham, so it's going to be Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Jacobs, you have to stop the run, but what is the 49ers philosophy for every single game they go into defensively? Stop the run, first. Make them one-dimensional, make them have to pass, right? You got Devontae Adams, and Devontae Adams, everyone's brought it up. He's killed the 49ers in the past, but here's the big difference. Number one, he's not playing with Aaron no more. Number two, we didn't have Charvarius Ward before. So now you got...
That, to me, is more than him not playing with Aaron Rodgers, because if you look at Carr, or if you look at this year, he's going to set their single season receiving yards record. So it's not like he's having a down year. Like, he's having a really good year, but we've never had that lockdown number one corner, though, too.
Yeah, and we know Ward's going to travel with him.
Yes, thank God.
So that's going to be fun. So let's say that they're both going to get theirs on that. I don't think Devontae's going to kill him, but I think Devontae will get his because he's just special.
He's just too good, yeah.
But then what you start doing is, okay, we're going to slow down the run game. That's going to take away one aspect, and then you're going to slow down Devontae. So it comes down to Darren Waller, who the 49ers are built to, Jimmy Ward could get on him a little bit. They could do some things with Hufanga and, Gibson. But also, Fred Warner can help take away Waller.
Fred can probably cover him still,
so
honestly.
Then the key matchup in this game because of that is Mac Hollins and Hunter Renfrow against Yelmer Lenore and who's left of Jimmy Ward and Tashawn Gibson.
Yeah.
Is that what are we worried about that?
Oh, well, what do you mean by worried? Like,
are we worried that they can take over and help win the football game?
Like if we're talking about can the Raiders actually beat us? No,
yes, yeah,
they can't. No, can they make it a couple drives kind of spicy? Absolutely, they can.
Right.
But in terms of consistent minutes, being able to score, because their defense is, how we say, a work in progress. Do they have enough firepower to stop us? They'd have to hold us to 20, between 17 and 24, and I don't think they can get us that low still. So they might get 17, 21 against us, but not going that low against their defense, though.
Right, and then you've got Chandler Jones. He's listed as doubtful. We'll see, what happens this week in practice, but he might be out. Their starting middle linebacker, Denzel Perryman, he might be out. They've got Rocky Singh questionable. He'll probably play. So they're dealing with injuries on defense as well. To me, this is going to be a tough one. They just had a huge loss last week that devastated their playoff hopes.
Yeah, like knocked them out.
So this is one of those things where are they ready to go fishing? You know what I mean? If I'm Chandler Jones and if I have a chance to play, do you play? I don't think you do. So this is one of those times where you start getting veteran guys that start taking
who's
inventory.
Checking out and who's checking in. Yeah, no, but that also can be kind of scary though too, because you don't know what to expect. If they had beat Pittsburgh, which they really should have, and we'd come in, okay, they're fighting for their playoff lives, so we know that they're going to scrap a claw for everything. So we better bring our A game. Now we don't know. Are they in or are they out?
That doesn't matter.
Where are they?
You don't care about the other team, what they're playing for, what they want. You know what you want. You know what you're playing for.
No, I'm saying from our how to view the game, because
as a fan.
Yes, because we're sitting here thinking, which team will show up now? Whereas if they had won, we know that.
Oh yeah, that they're playing hard.
Yeah, so that kind of team where you're, it's like the Bulls are all going on. I still haven't watched it yet, but the team who is happy to be in that bowl, or the team who lost the last game or two, and now they're stuck in that bowl. It's kind of that. It's that mentality of, do they really want to be here? Are they really going to compete, or are they going to show up?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I just think, this isn't going to affect how the 49ers approach the game.
It shouldn't.
And, if the Raiders come in and they are not motivated for this game or not playing for something, you're right. They're going to get absolutely smoked. I think there's going to be I think they'll show up because I think that they are a prideful group. They have leaders on their football team like Derek
Like
Carr.
Derek Carr,
And,
exactly.
they're going to push Devontae Adams. They're going to want to lose. Him and Carr not going to want to lose to the 49ers.
Yeah.
They're going to go out there and try to push for it. I just don't know if they have it, 1 through 53 enough to actually defeat the 49ers. But I think we'll get a good effort. And I think the 49ers are going to give a good effort because Minnesota is just flirting with dropping that spot. I mean, they just keep flirting with it, Jason.
We're handing you. Oh, hang on. No, no, not yet.
Yeah, so Jason, let's talk about the 49ers. Let's talk about the playoff update and exactly where they sit, amongst the top teams in the NFC. And of course, the division leaders, Philly, they take the loss because they don't have the starting quarterback Jalen Hurts. You have Minnesota sitting there in the 2 seed, 1 game ahead of the 49ers, and now they've got something to play for because they're 1 game behind
now too,
Philadelphia for the number 1 seed. And then, of course, you've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 7-8, trying to hold
South
on.
Divisions are under 500.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing.
It's the South. The teams are holding on there. We got a couple teams right behind the Buccaneers, but then your wild card. You've got the Cowboys. They're more than likely going to be. In fact, they are going to be the number 5 seed.
They're locked in now.
Yeah, unless they catch Philly, which I don't think they'll ultimately catch Philly. But
I believe even if they catch them, Philly still has the tiebreaker though.
Yeah, well, right now Philly has not clinched the division, which means it's still out there. New York Football Giants sitting at the 6th seed. If the playoffs started right now, they would play the 49ers in round 1, and then the Washington Commanders, who the 49ers just played, are the team that is sitting in the 7th seed and would play the Minnesota Vikings, which I think could be tough for the Vikings overall. And then we have the teams in the hunt. Seattle sitting at 7-8, Detroit 7-8. What a huge loss that was for Detroit.
That was bad.
That was bad. Seattle, we kind of expected to lose to Kansas City.
Yeah.
Green Bay coming on strong right now. And then you've got Carolina and New Orleans, who are pretty much in the hunt. They're a game back, or a game and a half back of the 7th seed, but they're a game back in the division as well.
They're closer to the division than the other 7 seed.
That's the truth. That is the truth.
It sounds so bad.
So, Jason, I want to know how you feel about this, because you brought up to me when we were doing our pre-show meeting that you would rather sit in the 3 seed and play the New York Football Giants than you would get to the 2 seed and have to play the 7 seed. At first, I thought you meant the Washington Commanders, but you mean anyone who fits that spot. Let me know exactly what you're thinking about that.
Okay, so unfortunately, you guys can't see what we're looking at, but we're actually looking at the whole board right here. And I don't think the Redskins or the Commanders are going to make the playoffs. So I don't think they get in. I don't think Seattle gets in. So I think that last spot comes down to either the Packers or the Lions.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm a little leery. I'd rather play the Giants than either of those teams, because both of those teams have made rapid improvement in the second half of the season. Rodgers is a lot more confident in his young receivers. The defense is starting to get a little more healthy.
Right.
And the Lions have a top 5 offense in the sport. So, and Dan Campbell's batch crazy enough to run who knows what kind of trick plays. I'd rather see the Giants, because the Giants, we know exactly what they are. They're average receiver. They're probably a little below average at quarterback, and they're elite at running back. Okay, so what do we do best on defense? We stop the run. Okay, great. So because of that, now if we got to 2, well, they can't go back either. They can be 8-1. So at worst, they stay in the 6. Nobody else can, barring a tie, can actually catch them, except for the Commanders.
You're talking about the New York Football Giants,
right? So if the Giants stay at 6, I'd rather us stay at 3. If it's just because I think it's an easier matchup, and I'd rather have them fly across country, having to play on our grass, not smoke our grass, but play on our grass, and just to see how good Saquon and that run game can do against our defense.
I think matchup-wise, I like the 49ers playing the New York Giants. I think that's a solid matchup for the 49ers. To be honest with you, I don't care if it's the Giants, the Commanders, the Seahawks, the Lions, the Packers. I don't care who it is. The 49ers can win that matchup because they're a more complete football team than all of them. I think you want to get yourself situated for round 2 of the playoffs. And I think having Minnesota come to San Francisco, even though I have no problems playing Minnesota in Minnesota, I would rather play in Levi Stadium with our crowd behind the team and having Minnesota have to make that trip, because I think that sets you up for a situation where you beat Minnesota and you haven't even had to leave California. And then whatever happens between Philly and Dallas in round 2, you let happen. And if Dallas is able to knock off Philly, that means you never had to leave California to potentially get to the Super Bowl. And if for some reason Philly does win, and I think they are one of the better teams in the league, so they'll have a good chance, if not be heavily favored in that matchup with Jalen Hurts back, I think then you have one trip in you. You didn't have to go to Minnesota and come back, and then go to Philly and come back. Now you just go to Philly one time to let it all ride, one road win, and then you can get it done. That's why I think it's more important for the 49ers to get to the number 2 seed than I do for them to have a good first round matchup.
I mean, if we're talking the big picture, yes.
That's why wouldn't we be talking about the big picture?
If we're talking about round 1, then I would disagree a little bit.
Well, I mean, which those teams scare you in round 1?
Not I wouldn't say scare me. No.
Can the 49ers beat the New York Football Giants?
First of all, the premise is San Francisco has the ability to beat anyone in the sport because our defense is that good.
Then why aren't we talking about round 2 of the playoffs?
Because in order to get to round 2, you got to get to round.
But you just said they can beat anyone. Why are you? There's a team you actually are concerned with?
Not concerned, but like I said, I'd rather not see the Lions or the Packers, because excluding last Saturday, the Lions have been on a really hot streak, and the Packers are starting to look like they're kind of coming around too. And
I honestly can't go there with you.
Teams that are hot coming into the playoffs can be dangerous, right? It's that way in basketball. It's that way in NFL. It's that way in baseball. I mean, 2 years ago, the Braves had the least amount of wins. I mean, any playoff team, they got hot. They won the whole World Series. So
here's where it gets interesting. You have Green Bay versus Minnesota this week.
Yes, that gets a huge game.
If Green Bay wins, they have a good shot at making the playoffs, and we need Green Bay to win to get the 49ers to 2.
Yes.
That could set up the Green Bay versus 49ers.
It gets the 2
right.
7 in play then too.
How good do Green Bay play against the 49ers in the playoffs?
That was, but that was different though.
Is Devontae Adams coming through that door?
No, but
is Reggie White coming through that door?
Is
Mike Holmgren coaching that game?
I would say that their receiving core now, with Dobbs and Watson and
I'm waiting for this.
Lazard, is a better core 1 through 3 than it was with Devontae.
Devontae Adams is better than all 3 of them combined.
Devontae's the best receiver in the sport. Like I'm not saying he's not, but it was him and not much else though too. And the way that they're using Watson in kind of a Debo role where he's taking handoffs, taking reverse, that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, he's fast.
He's very fast.
How fast is Fred Warner?
Not quite as.
How fast is Dre Greenlaw? Are they the best linebackers side to side in the entire league?
They don't run 4-3.
Are they the best side to side linebackers in the entire league?
Hands down.
Yeah. Would they know what to read out of LaFleur's offense?
I would certainly hope so.
Yeah. And then so I'm supposed to worry about Doubs, he's a good receiver. Don't get me wrong, but you're telling me I can't just put Charvarius Ward on him and be like, have fun, enjoy the show. Everybody else pay attention to Christian Watson on the reverses and everything.
You're not wrong.
But I know I'm not wrong.
I'm just saying though, that offense has the ability to be a lot more explosive than that offense does.
Than the New York Football Giants.
Absolutely.
I'm with you, right? They got Richie James. There's not a lot of it's Saquon.
He can't even catch a pass.
Yeah.
That dude's hands are terrible.
To me, the only reason I say this, I think Washington's skilled players overall are more dangerous than Green Bay's.
Well, yeah.
Detroit has still got Jared Goff and no real weapons on offense. They got a couple dudes that are pretty good.
Amon-Ra.
I like Amon-Ra. Is he a game breaker?
No, but he's someone.
What about Seattle? They scare you?
No, hell no.
I'm just saying. I don't get it.
I think Seattle's toast.
Yeah.
Like I think it comes down to the Lions and the Packers and the Commanders. I think are the only are the three teams who have a shot. Like I don't think Seattle has a shot at all anymore.
Yeah, so I want the 2 seed. I care more about round 2. I don't think anything is easy or anything's a given, but I think that's the best situation for the
Giants
49ers. Okay, so you got
Giants are
that.
given.
Well, let's get back to it. I went ahead and added the graphic. I think you can see it there. For those, everyone's been looking at the playoff picture that you're looking at. So
there we go.
That's good. Everyone got to see that. But now we're going to be flipping over back, to the Raiders a little bit here. I want you to give a really bold prediction for 49ers versus Raiders.
Really bold prediction for a game in Las Vegas. That has some scary connotations. Especially some of the things I've seen in Vegas. Like, yeah. Ooh, sorry. Really bold prediction. Okay. We finally get Brock Purdy up around 300 yards.
Okay, so Brock Purdy's going to have more of an explosion on offense. 234 this last week. You think it's going to get closer to 3?
I think it'll be plus 275.
Like that. So now it's time, Jason, for your score prediction.
My score was actually pretty close.
You were 10 points off on offense, and you were 4 points off on defense.
I said 31.
You said 27.
Oh, I said 30. 16.
I'm gonna throw one of those red flags.
Red flag.
Roll the tape.
Challenge flag. Challenge flag.
Because like you said 27 points on offense, Horse said 27 points on offense, Jane the Base said 27 points on offense.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, because we gave that defense a lot of credit.
If it would have been, one of those things where it was pretty close for the third quarter score.
But shoot, 55. That's pretty good. It was only 14 holes. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind. Score. I think it's gonna be like I'm gonna say 35 to go 18.
35 to 18.
I was gonna get 18, but I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be.
I like it. Go a little off, the reservation with an 18-point score. I don't know how many times there's been 18 points scored in a game.
2 touchdowns. No, 2 touchdowns and no. I feel like 19 or safer. Let's go 17.
Okay, it's
more
realistic than, a touchdown, 2 touchdowns, one with a 2-point conversion and a field goal. Wow, Jason could have got to 18. And that didn't work out, but 49ers with another big victory. I like that, Jay Hill, and another great episode of the Hill Show.
Last one of the year.
Yeah, last one. Next time we see you, it'll be 2023. Hopefully celebrating 9 straight wins for the 49ers. Hopefully celebrating in what I want, the 2 seed.
Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, yeah, go Aaron Rodgers on Sunday and then die like a dog the next week.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah, so, hey, great episode, Jay Hill. Can't wait to see you for the next one. Go Niners.
Sure.